Have you ever looked at your life and realized that the dream you worked so hard for no longer feels like your dream? It is a strange moment. Nothing outside has necessarily gone wrong. You may still be following the same plan, pursuing the same career, or chasing the same goals you once believed would make you happy. Yet something inside you has quietly changed. The future that once filled you with excitement now feels surprisingly empty. Many people panic when this happens because they believe changing their mind means they have failed. In reality, it may be a sign that they are finally growing. One of the greatest misunderstandings about success is the belief that our dreams should remain unchanged forever. As children, we imagine our future with very little information. We create goals based on what we admire, what our parents encourage, or what society celebrates. We dream of impressive jobs, expensive houses, recognition, and achievements because these symbols appear to represent happiness. There is nothing wrong with those dreams. At that stage of life, they help us move forward. They give us direction when we know very little about ourselves. However, life is not a straight road. Every experience teaches us something new. Every disappointment changes our priorities a little. Every meaningful relationship reveals another part of who we are. As we continue living, the person who made those early decisions slowly disappears, replaced by someone wiser, calmer, and more aware of what truly matters. If we expect our dreams to stay exactly the same while we ourselves continue changing, we create an impossible expectation. Imagine buying clothes that fit you perfectly at the age of 12 and insisting on wearing them for the rest of your life. Nobody would consider that reasonable because your body naturally grows. Yet emotionally, many of us do exactly that. We continue wearing old ambitions that no longer fit the person we have become. We hold on to outdated definitions of success because abandoning them feels uncomfortable. We tell ourselves that we have already invested too much time, too much energy, or too much money to choose another path. This way of thinking creates an invisible prison. The prison is not built by other people. It is built by our own past decisions. We become loyal to an earlier version of ourselves, even when that version no longer exists. Perhaps you once dreamed of becoming the youngest manager in your company. You worked late every evening. You accepted every opportunity because promotion became your highest priority. Years later, you finally reached that position, but instead of feeling fulfilled, you feel exhausted. You realize that what you actually want is more time with your family, better health, or the freedom to explore creative work. Suddenly, the dream that once motivated you becomes the very thing preventing you from living the life you now value. This realization often brings guilt. People think, how can I walk away after everything I sacrificed? They fear disappointing their family, their colleagues, or even themselves. After all, society admires persistence. We are taught that successful people never quit. While determination is certainly valuable, there is an important difference between giving up because something is difficult and letting go because something is no longer right. These two actions may appear identical from the outside, but internally they are completely different. One comes from fear, while the other comes from honesty. Continuing to chase a dream that no longer belongs to you is not perseverance. Sometimes, it is simply resistance to accepting change. Growth rarely announces itself with dramatic moments. More often, it arrives quietly. You begin enjoying conversations that would have bored you years ago. You become less interested in proving yourself and more interested in understanding yourself. You stop comparing your achievements with those of others because you realize everyone is solving different problems. The excitement that once came from competition gradually shifts toward peace, purpose, and meaningful connections. This transformation can feel confusing because it challenges everything you previously believed. You may wonder whether you are becoming less ambitious. In reality, your ambition has not disappeared. It has simply changed its direction. Instead of chasing a bigger title, you may now chase a healthier lifestyle. Instead of collecting achievements, you may begin collecting experiences. Instead of asking, "How can I impress people?" you begin asking, "How can I build a life that feels genuinely meaningful to me?" That change deserves respect, not shame. Unfortunately, many people remain trapped because they confuse consistency with identity. They believe that changing direction means betraying the person they used to be. Yet the opposite is often true. Refusing to evolve is a greater betrayal because it forces you to ignore the person you are becoming. Think about someone learning a musical instrument. During the first few months, they practice simple songs. Later, as their skills improve, they naturally move on to more complex music. Nobody expects them to keep playing beginner exercises forever simply because those lessons helped them at the beginning. Those early pieces serve their purpose. They were never meant to become the final destination. Our dreams work in much the same way. Some dreams exist to introduce us to discipline. Others teach resilience, confidence, or courage. Certain ambitions are not meant to stay with us forever. Their purpose is to shape us into someone capable of discovering an even more authentic direction. When we finally reach that point, letting go is not a sign that the journey was wasted. It is proof that the journey succeeded. The difficult part is that life rarely gives us permission to outgrow our old dreams. Friends may question our choices. Family members may not understand why we want something different after years of hard work. Even our own memories can become obstacles, reminding us of promises we once made to ourselves. Yet personal growth has never been about remaining exactly the same. It has always been about becoming more honest with who we truly are. Sometimes the bravest decision is not continuing the path everyone expects. Sometimes it is having the courage to admit that the destination you once wanted no longer feels like home. The fear of outgrowing an old dream is rarely about the dream itself. More often, it is about the story we have built around it. We spend years telling ourselves and everyone else who we are going to become. That story becomes part of our identity. When we decide to change direction, it can feel as though we are erasing a piece of ourselves. We worry that people will think we are inconsistent, confused, or unsuccessful. Yet human beings are not books with a single ending already written. We are constantly editing our own stories. Every chapter adds new experiences, and every experience has the power to reshape what comes next. One reason this feels so difficult is the psychological effect of sunk costs. After investing years of effort into a particular goal, we naturally want to believe that every sacrifice must lead to the outcome we originally imagined. We think about the late nights, the missed opportunities, the money, and the emotional energy we have already spent. Walking away seems to make all of those investments meaningless. However, this way of thinking ignores a simple truth. Time does not become valuable only if it leads to one specific destination. Every challenge teaches something that can be carried into the future. Skills remain useful. Lessons remain valuable. Character remains strengthened. Even if the destination changes, the person you became along the way is still real. Consider someone who dreamed of becoming a lawyer, but later discovered a passion for teaching. At first glance, it may seem as though the years spent studying law were wasted. In reality, those years may have developed critical thinking, confidence in communication, and the ability to explain complicated ideas clearly. These qualities do not disappear simply because the career changes. The first dream quietly prepared the individual for the second one. Life often works this way. What appears to be a detour eventually becomes part of the foundation. Another important lesson is that happiness and success are not always moving in the same direction. Society often celebrates visible achievements because they are easy to measure. Promotions, salaries, awards, and social status can all be displayed to the world. Inner peace cannot. A healthy relationship cannot. The feeling of waking up without constant anxiety cannot. Yet many people eventually discover that these invisible forms of success have a much greater impact on their daily lives than the achievements everyone else applauds. This does not mean ambition is wrong. Ambition has built remarkable inventions, inspired scientific discoveries, and motivated countless people to overcome extraordinary obstacles. The problem arises when ambition becomes disconnected from personal meaning. A goal that once reflected your values may eventually reflect only your habits. You continue chasing it because you started, not because you still believe in it. Momentum can be powerful, but it can also carry us far away from ourselves if we never stop to ask whether we are still moving in the right direction. There is also a hidden freedom in accepting that your younger self did the best they could with the knowledge they had. We often judge our past decisions using information we did not possess at the time. That is unfair. The person you were 10 years ago could not predict every experience that would shape you. They could not know which relationships would change your perspective, which failures would build resilience, or which unexpected opportunities would reveal entirely new possibilities. Instead of criticizing that earlier version of yourself, you can appreciate them. They made choices that allowed you to arrive where you are today. Without those choices, you might never have discovered the life that now feels more authentic. Perhaps the greatest sign of maturity is recognizing that identity should remain flexible. Healthy trees continue growing because their branches reach toward new light. Rivers continue flowing because they adjust to the landscape instead of resisting every obstacle. Nature rarely survives through rigidity. It survives through adaptation. Human beings are no different. Growth requires movement, and movement sometimes requires leaving familiar ground behind. Of course, changing direction does not guarantee immediate happiness. Every new beginning contains uncertainty. There will be moments when you question yourself, especially when others seem to be confidently following the paths they chose years earlier. Yet appearances can be deceptive. Many people continue living lives they no longer enjoy simply because changing feels frightening. They remain committed to dreams they have secretly outgrown, hoping that persistence alone will eventually create fulfillment. Sometimes it does not. There is quiet courage in admitting that your definition of a good life has evolved. Perhaps you once wanted to impress the world, but now you simply want to understand yourself. Perhaps you once measured success by productivity, but now you measure it by presence. Perhaps you once believed happiness would arrive after achieving more, but now you realize it grows from appreciating what already exists. None of these changes make your previous dreams foolish. They simply reflect the natural evolution of a human life. When you finally allow yourself to outgrow an old dream, you may notice something unexpected. You do not lose your past. You carry it with you in a different form. The discipline remains. The resilience remains. The curiosity remains. Only the destination changes. Instead of becoming someone entirely new, you become a more complete version of the person you have been becoming all along. So, if you find yourself standing between the life you planned and the life that now calls to you, remember this. You do not need permission from society to change. You do not need unanimous approval from family, friends, or strangers. Most importantly, you do not need to apologize for becoming someone different from the person who first imagined your future. Growth is not a betrayal of your past. It is the fulfillment of its purpose. The life you once wanted was never a contract you were required to honor forever. It was simply the best vision you could create with the understanding you had at that moment. Today, you know more. You have lived more. You have loved, struggled, failed, recovered, and learned in ways your younger self could never have imagined. Why should your dreams remain frozen while your wisdom continues to expand? Perhaps the most liberating sentence you will ever tell yourself is not, "I finally achieved everything I wanted." It is, "I finally gave myself permission to want something different." That sentence does not represent failure. It represents freedom. And sometimes, the most meaningful success in life is not becoming the person you plan to be. It is having the courage to become the person you truly are.